Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for this edition of The Table. We look forward to sharing some really exciting information and news with you today. I'm Cindy Baggett, VP of Development and Marketing, and today we will hear from Michael Ledger, our President and CEO, and Cindy Bloom, our Director of Operations. Thank you so much for joining us. You'll notice during this episode of The Table that there's some orange scattered around. Maybe it's behind someone or someone's wearing it. It's because September is Hunger Action Month and orange is the color of hunger. I'm going to share a little bit more about that with you later. But first, we'll hear from Michael Ledger and Cindy Bloom about our Hurricane Ida response. Then, as I mentioned, we'll talk about Hunger Action Month, and then we'll talk a little bit about Chef Challenge. So I'll turn it over to Michael Ledger, our President and CEO at this time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We know that everyone's busy and with their normal lives and work and families, and anyone that can take the time to join us here at the table, we greatly appreciate it. Obviously, helping people who are facing hunger is something that we care deeply about. And we know we have a lot of folks that are outside of our building, outside of these four walls, that care deeply as well. And our mission is to try to let them know, let you know what we're doing in response to the needs that we find out there in our community. And we're passionate about spreading the word about what folks are facing and how we collectively can come together and help people. So that's why we do the table, and that's why we thank you for joining us. So we're going to talk a little bit about disaster response, and we're going to get into Hurricane Ida. I should say that, of course, we've sort of been living through a disaster of a different kind now for over a year and a half, the COVID pandemic. And at Feeding the Gulf Coast, we have seen firsthand the impact that COVID has in our community on an individual basis, and organizational basis, family basis. It affects all aspects of our lives. And we have been working hard to try to reach folks that are being impacted, particularly as it pertains to hunger. People that have lost jobs, perhaps their hours have been cut back. The children that would typically be in school receiving food at those schools that do not have that access, and parents have to find a way to feed their children otherwise. All of these things have an economic and thus an impact on hunger. And we are working hard still to respond to that as we speak. We know that the Delta variant has been a great resurgence of COVID, particularly in the areas of the 24 counties we serve. And we're working hard to still get out the food that needs to be taken out there and put in the hands of those that need it. But we're also trying to do that safely. We've reinstituted masks, temperature checks, all the distancing protocols that we've had in place back at the beginning of COVID. Those have been since reinstituted now for a couple months. We plan to continue to follow those protocols. We're very much advocates for trying to make sure that everybody's making the best decision they can for themselves and their families. And here at Feeding the Gulf Coast, we're working to make sure that our staff stays safe as well. So I don't want to get into Ida without first mentioning that we're still dealing with a different sort of disaster. And we have a lot of people that have stepped up from the beginning of COVID that have been with us through the entire episode, whether that be boots on the ground as volunteers, whether it be donors who are helping us be able to reach more people through financial support, or just spreading the message and making people aware of what others are dealing with and what they're facing. So getting into Ida, we play a critical and vital role when it comes to disaster relief. And I don't think that's something that's understood, and I certainly myself probably wasn't as aware of it as I should have been prior to becoming a member of this food bank. And you really realize how much that is true when we're on calls with other disaster relief agencies. And they look to us and rely on us to work shoulder to shoulder with them in reaching people in need. Of course, our agencies, the over 400 that we partner with across the 22,000 square miles that we serve, are a critical link in that chain. And as I've mentioned before, I really think of this whole process as links in a chain. Everyone vital as we try to respond to this need. Of course, that need explodes for many when the disaster hits. Perhaps they'd never been touched by hunger before, but their homes are destroyed, or their businesses are hurt and closed, or the businesses that they work at have to close. In any event, this makes them vulnerable, financially vulnerable. They may lose all the food in their house, their freezer, even if they have no damage, particularly at their home, the power's out. So you lose perhaps hundreds of dollars worth of food in your refrigerator. For some people, that can be a lot to try to replace, to just go out to the store, if the store is still open and still has electricity themselves and food to replenish. Coming up with a few $100 is not necessarily an easy thing to do. So we're called upon to come out and try to put food in the hands of those folks that are affected. And we work through a coordinated effort to make that happen. We activated what we call our yellow alert status a couple days before the event. So the Thursday before the event, we were meeting with the disaster preparedness team. We have a really big handbook, a playbook that we have. We've been working to constantly reinvent that handbook to make sure that it's as good as it can be, and to allow us to be as optimally efficient and safe as we can be. So we were meeting Thursday, Friday before the event, and then activated over the weekend, which Cindy will tell you a little bit about what we'll be doing even before the hurricane made landfall. Throughout all of that, we were monitoring the situation, shifts in the pattern. As the name tells you, we are all along the Gulf Coast, from Mexico City, Panama City Beach, all the way to the Louisiana border through our Mississippi counties. So these hurricanes can make a quick turn. They can intensify quickly. Maybe if we're lucky, they can become a little bit less, but that doesn't seem to be something we've experienced lately. So we're monitoring that to make sure that we have assets that are able to deploy in those appropriate areas. As you may or may not know, we have 3 warehouses, 3 facilities in our organization. One is in Milton, Florida, and one here where I'm speaking to you from in Theodore, Mobile, Alabama, and then lastly, one in Gulfport, Mississippi. So we have to be really acutely aware of where we think the center of this is going to be, these events such as hurricanes, which is typically the thing we're responding to, and that we are deploying the appropriate resources to those areas. For the response, we have to start sourcing food and preparing the food that we have. We worked with many partners through our Feeding America partnership. We have relationships with places like Project Preserve. We have relationships with organizations such as Walmart. Because we're in 3 states as a food bank, we have Feeding Florida, our state partnership in Feeding Florida. They were able to put us in touch with the state of Florida. The state of Florida agreed to release certain state assets such as water and MREs. They were released out of state, which is something that's not typical. And we were able to deploy those in Alabama and particularly Mississippi. And that's just a brief insight into the things we do to source food, because ultimately, if we don't have the food, we can't accomplish the mission. So a lot of work went into that. We have to pack emergency boxes. We had been collecting foods that were set aside as we were reaching hurricane season with the intent of packing emergency boxes. We had volunteers that were in here shift after shift after shift. We were able to talk to our volunteer team in our organization, make the contacts with all these amazing groups that we work with and say, look, we need more. We need you to come in more hours. We need you to work longer shifts. We had a team member from Milton, Florida at our warehouse that I just mentioned, came over, spent a few nights to help us keep our packing and sorting operations running with all these groups that came in to help us. Amazing effort. So we had 1,200 emergency food boxes that were packed. We're certain, so the impact of the hurricane, it's happened. We hunkered down, and then, like most of us, we're sticking our head out to see what's happened. For us, that means sending out a survey, and this survey allows us to try to assess the damage in particular areas. Now, we knew that based on what the impact was, it was going to be our Mississippi counties that were going to be primarily affected. Although, as we all know, there was heavy rain and wind and a few tornadoes that popped up that also impacted Alabama and to a lesser degree Florida. This survey allows us to really get the kind of feedback that we need to understand what's happening. And when you're talking about 22,000 square miles, it's really difficult to wrap your head around where is the damage and what might be, as we've seen, a block that seems to be rather unaffected. In the very next block, there's decimation, whether that be from wind, water, and flooding. It could be a myriad of things. So we use our agencies as our boots on the ground to be able to give us this feedback, and we're able to ask them very detailed questions. And in the survey, we modify it to meet the needs for that particular event. This particular one was asking them all kinds of questions. How much of impact do you think you had? Are you open? Is your church or other group that you're working your food bank pantry from, is it still there? Do you have a forklift, access to a forklift? If we got you trucks somewhere that didn't have lift gates, could you unload it yourself? All kinds of questions that allow us to better respond and better understand where we need to be and where we need to be helping people. So these are many of the steps that we've taken. You can see here a picture. This is actually one of the food distributions that was happening. Those lines of cars you can see around the corner going down the road. There's a tractor. That's not a traditional forklift. But when you are ingenious and you have the want and the will to help people, our partners, our agencies, and this team in this building and in our other facilities have a way of figuring things out. And it's that creativity and that drive that allow us to make a difference for so many people. Let's see what's on the next one. So, when we're doing this work, the feedback that we get can really be so motivational for us. People that really want to make a difference, that can see firsthand just what that means to them and what it means to someone else. We had so much feedback. This is one that I think Cindy will mention later, but there's someone who's been displaced. And when you have people in a hot parking lot at 1:30 in the afternoon in South Alabama, on asphalt for a few hours, just dripping sweat, and that's a literal dripping sweat, wring out your socks hot. Hearing this feedback, it makes it all worth it. The next slide, please. So on Saturday, we had multiple distributions that again, we'll talk about in a little bit, that one of our partners was able to help us pull off, really amazing. There were 3 of those on Saturday, in addition to our regular distributions. And then again, on Wednesday, we had 9 that did an amazing amount of work. The food and the quality of the food that we were able to put out in conjunction with our regular distributions, really amazing impact. You can see here, again, lines of cars. The folks, our partners, such as Destin Harvest, that are working with us, helping us deploy all of these resources that we're accumulating, using the resources that we have and the partnerships that we have, really powerful. Again, here in Greene County, Mississippi, the cars lined up for one of these distributions. The feedback, thank you for your blessing. Our community was such amazing blessing. They were overwhelmed, excited. They couldn't stop coming up to me, rolling down their windows to say how thankful they were. From the bottom of our heart, I thank you so much for thinking of us. Of course, that means a lot to our staff here at Feeding the Gulf Coast. It means a lot to Pleasant Hill UMC, and it should mean a lot to anybody who's ever donated to Feeding the Gulf Coast, anybody that's ever come in here and volunteered, or at a mobile pantry volunteered. All of us, all of you, are part of this process, are links in this chain. And you can see the quality of the food that we're able to put out. Really, really great food that's going to help folks that lost a little, lost a lot, was already vulnerable, already food insecure, and then something like this happens and it only impacts them further. And there was just a lot of good done there. Next. So we have also been working with other food banks. So, we believe in being a good neighbor, and as so many in our community in Alabama and Florida have been eager to help, as so have we. And working with the Second Harvest in New Orleans, food bank in New Orleans, we have sent them a camper, that 35-foot camper that sleeps 5, as you know. Many people lost homes or unable to access their homes. And this was certainly the case with some of the staff at the Second Harvest in New Orleans. So we've sent them a camper that sleeps 5. They were very eager to get it. And we were very happy to get it to them. We also sent them a box truck here. You can see this. And actually, this is Sydney, hi, Sydney. On the right there, she's a relatively new staff member, our transportation coordinator. And here she is delivering it. A couple of folks went over. Sean and her went over to deliver this truck, and they were very excited to get it, and we were so happy to be able to help them. And we're continuing to try to find ways to help them. We've also reached out to Mississippi Food Network and other partners to see how we can assist, such as the Feeding Florida Network helping us over here in Alabama and Mississippi. Okay, and you'll hear this again, but it's always good to repeat this message. You know, if you're looking for ways to find food assistance, if you in our area, you can go to feedingthegulfcoast.org or call 888-704-FOOD. And from here, you will be able to find help. And if you're interested in participating, which we're always looking for new friends, you can find out how to volunteer, and you can also find out how to donate. Obviously, this is a labor-intensive endeavor that we do, moving millions of pounds of food every year. It takes staff, it takes trucks, it takes fuel, it takes lights. So any of those any way you donate your time or your money is greatly appreciated. And of course, if you need help, that's why we're here. Please go to feedingthegulfcoast.org, and hopefully you'll be able to find something there. All right, so let's see. From here, I'm going to turn to Cindy. So I was going to ask. So she is our director of operations, or we have a video next. Where are we at? I don't want to get out of order. I think we're going to go to Cindy first. Okay, so we're talking about our efforts here. Do you know director of operations, Cindy Bloom? How many distributions we've done, particularly in Mississippi, where we found that most of the impact for our counties was found?
That's right. So since even before the storm, as Michael mentioned, we started staging some product there. So in total, from this, Ida hit pretty much Sunday, Monday. So from that Saturday until today, we've done 28 food distributions. And that's us getting food to our partners. And some of our partners, immediately distribute that food. Some of our partners have more of a brick and mortar style pantry where they just have food and they're open every day. So we've done at least 28 of those since the storm, even before the storm, right before the storm, related to Ida. We also have 2 large ones scheduled for this weekend as well. So that would be a total of 30.
Do you know where those 2, what's the cities or towns those are in?
So this weekend, there's a very large one in Gulfport, and then as well as a little bit of a smaller one, which is still 10,000 pounds in Wiggins, Mississippi, which is in Stone County.
You're in food banking when you call 10,000 pounds a somewhat smaller one. 10,000 pounds of food is a whole bunch of food. But yes, no, you're absolutely right. When you're dealing with the scale we're dealing with during a disaster, that whole lot of food can start to seem like something less, but it certainly isn't. And 10,000 pounds of food should be able to feed 200 families. So that's 200 families. And where was that at again?
The 10,000 is in Wiggins.
Wiggins. Okay. Mm-hmm. So for you folks out there that might be listening and you're in the Wiggins area, please look for that if you're in need of food.
Right there.
Right there on her map. Okay. Thank you. So how many pounds have we approximately so far? And we're literally, as things are moving today, we're putting more food out, but
that's right. We're about at least 315,000 pounds. That's with the direct drops that didn't pass through our warehouse, as well as the food that's passed through our warehouse. So we've passed about 164,000 pounds through our warehouse since the Saturday before the storm, and then we'll do an additional about 35,000 this weekend. So by the time this weekend rolls up, we'll be at over 350,000 pounds related just in southern Mississippi.
Okay, great. So can you tell us a little bit about what we were doing even right before the hurricane struck? you know, what I was mentioning that we work with a lot of partners, other disaster relief organizations, and are relied upon to, and I think we're an important piece of that chain. I think they recognize that. What are the couple of things we were doing literally the weekend hours before that's hit?
That's right. As Michael said, we take hurricane preparation very seriously, and one of those parts of our hurricane plan is to make sure that we are plugged into all of the correct calls. So one call I was plugged into is the Mississippi Mass Care Coordination call. That's a call where Red Cross is always there, Salvation Army is always there, EMAs are present. It's run by the state of Mississippi in Mississippi in particular. So we started joining those calls on Thursday, of course, Friday. And on the Saturday call, they said that they needed water at the EMA shelters in Hancock County, which is the county that borders Louisiana, the Mississippi County that borders Louisiana. So we came into the warehouse and we were able to load up a truck with 5 pallets of water, 2 pallets of sanitizing wipes, and a couple of face masks. And we shipped it all the way over to Kiln, Mississippi. And so we were proud to do that to support the EMAs over there. Well, on Sunday morning at 6:30, I got a phone call that said, hey, the shelters in Harrison County need some more water. Is there any way you could support? And so we got in contact with the Red Cross, who was running those shelters, and we were able to support them. Michael and I actually came in to pull that water down to make sure that it got to the right place. So being a part of those mass care calls is incredibly important. You know, it's always a two-way street that we offer our assistance to them as well. And then when we had mass distributions, we let them know where the community could go to go get that food. So we've been in constant communication with that team, and it proved very vital, especially before the storm, making sure that those needs were met in southern Mississippi.
And there was already some pretty howling wind and rain when we were on Sunday, and I had an opportunity to polish up on my reach truck skills I haven't worked on in quite a while. Okay, so I got a couple more questions. So, you know, one of the things that was really amazing, and some of the pictures we saw and some of the feedback we saw was related, in addition to the regular, I say regular, our direct drops out of our warehouse, but we also had an opportunity with Walmart in a Walmart DC. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and of course, that's a testament to our network of partners with Feeding America. So Feeding America was contacting me, as well as the New Orleans Food Bank and the Baton Rouge Food Bank and the other Louisiana Mississippi Food Bank, saying there's this incredible opportunity. The Walmart that serves southern Louisiana, the distribution center, lost power, and they have some damage. They need to liquidate their entire inventory. So all weekend we were working on coordinating the loads. Feeding America was coordinating that effort. And, you know, at one point they were saying it was almost 120 loads, or that's a lot. That's a lot of food. That's millions and millions and millions of pounds that just of fresh produce, fresh meat that needed to go somewhere, or it was going to go in the trash. So our team worked really hard to place some of those direct loads. So on the Saturday after the storm, like I said, the storm hit Sunday, Monday, Tuesday a little bit. So that Saturday after the storm, we were able to place 3 direct loads, and those loads had a mix of fresh meat and fresh produce and a few little flowers too. And we called our agencies, who got creative, like Michael said, and we said you need a pallet jack or a forklift or a tractor. So a lot of them had a tractor that they had access to, so they were able to accept a 40,000 pound truck on their site. And then on Wednesday, we were able to facilitate and coordinate that again, and we had 8 direct drops on Wednesday. And so that's a lot. That's a lot of pounds that we were proud that we were able to rescue.
Yeah, a lot of amazing work. The team working, you know, long hours over the weekend and every other day, but also, you know, the volunteers, the agencies out there who were taking those calls, saying, yes, I think we can step up. And you know, many of them said we were very tired handling 40,000 pounds of food in a parking lot, but incredibly satisfied and touched to be able to do it. So yeah, amazing work.
Yeah.
So you know, in Alabama, I was talking about the unfortunate folks that are displaced. You know, at one point there are estimates we had over 70,000 people in the, you know, greater Mobile metro area and staying in hotels and every other manner of shelter. What have we done here to try to help with that?
You know, we asked our partners as well in Alabama how they felt the impacts of Ida, and a few of them have said that their population asking for help is significantly increased due to evacuees. Could we help them? So we sent a few extra distributions within Alabama as well, including we coordinated one just right up the street. We have a lot of hotels right here in Tillman's Corner area. So we sent 150 MREs, we sent 40 disaster boxes, we sent some diapers and waters and wipes and sanitizers, a lot of fresh produce that was easy to sit on a hotel counter, like bananas and cherries and grapes and stuff. So we tried to cater to our local community as well.
Yeah, and the thoughtfulness of what you have to pick for someone who's in a hotel room without a stove or a large refrigerator. You know, it's not always easy. We don't have it. It's not a grocery store here, so we have lots of. But I think we still were very creative in picking foods that someone who's running low on funds, because you know people aren't thinking, well, I'm gonna have to spend $1,000 on a hotel bill next week, but there they were finding themselves in that position. So being able to give them something that helped them, and you saw in that testimonial letter we got, which was shared across our organization. Someone that was truly touched that had been displaced out of Bay St. Louis in Mississippi. You really realize that what it means to somebody. Okay, so I think we're almost done with me for a minute, but I do have a couple questions to ask, and then I'm going to turn it over to. Am I turning it over now? No, we have a video now. Excuse me. It's live, so it's like Saturday Night Live. You know, it doesn't necessarily. Yeah.
So as Michael mentioned, we have this video, and you can hear the passion in Michael and Cindy's voices as they talk about our mission and serving those in the community who are facing times of crisis, whether they be from a disaster or just challenging circumstances. So it's so important that the staff that contribute to this work are so committed to what we do. So we have some little testimonies from staff who work for Feeding the Gulf Coast, and they're going to share a little bit about why our mission is important to them. And then after that, Michael has some trivia, I think.
I love the mission that we do, feeding hungry people, because I was once a hungry person myself.
I enjoy when we help people. That's what when I pull orders, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I enjoy a lot of things because one, it's more than just a job to me. I mean, you know, one, we have a great team here. Everybody feels the same way, that just to get out there and help get food out into the community.
And the most exciting thing I get to do is I get to actually talk to individuals that are food insecure and connect them to our amazing agency partners who are on the front lines of fighting hunger.
This is a way for me to be able to give back also, and just kind of help give people hope in their life whenever they think there is no hope left out there.
Powerful testimony from our staff. You know, as I said, we care about what we do, and we're inspired to be able to work along people that care as much as we do. So that brings us to trivia. This special food bank mascot is known as A, Bay Area Betty, B, Hungry Kate, C, Ashley Apple, or D, Fiona Banks. If you know the answer, you can go in the chat or just say it out loud wherever you may be. The answer is Hungry Kate. I believe that was developed in-house, and that is our mascot. What day was the food bank officially incorporated? So you saw the slide, the 40th anniversary. Can't not talk about that, and I think Cindy will talk more about it, but really important date for us to commemorate the amazing work that's been done over the past 40 years by so many people, from just a handful of people that put money in a pot practically and said, look, we're going to find a corner of some space to set up some shelves and start a food bank, which this community desperately needs, to the many evolutions that it's had since, and adding multiple states, 24 counties, 3 locations. So many board members, so many people that have donated their time from their wallet. So many past team members. You know, we're the people on this table right now. We're just the stewards of this amazing organization today, tasked with trying to push it forward from where someone already had taken it. So you've seen the dates. Let's see if anybody can get it right. And the answer is September 17th. So we're just days away from official 40th anniversary, but we'll be commemorating it all year long. And with it being Hunger Action Month, that makes it even more appropriate, I think. Okay, here we go. This is a kind of Find Waldo question. How many orange items are in Michael's office? Well, at least that you can see in this frame. It'll be interesting to see if we have anybody that gets this or argues with doesn't agree with the answer, maybe is a better way of saying it. And we believe the answer is 6. We've got a coffee cup, we've got an orange, a foam hand, sunglasses, a marker, and there's a little bit of orange on my name tag. So the answer is 6. And as orange is Hunger Action Month color. So that's what we're doing here, trying to draw some more attention to this important mission and the important fact that there are many among us who face hunger.
Thank you, Michael. Trivia is always fun. So as we've talked about just a little bit, September is Hunger Action Month. Coincidentally, Michael mentioned that September 17th is our incorporation date. This year, September 17th is actually also Hunger Action Day. So it's really a perfect tie-in to what we're doing and how there's national importance to the issue of hunger. As I mentioned, September being Hunger Action Month, it's really an incredible opportunity to raise awareness for the issue of hunger in our communities. We know that 1 in 6 individuals and 1 in 4 children right here in our communities face hunger. So Hunger Action Month is just really an opportunity to bring some awareness to that. We will share another video with some staff highlights here, just to share why our staff are so engaged in our mission and why it's important to them.
I love doing this job because we give back to our community, and I was in this boat at one time when I was younger, and it's nice to help people out.
I enjoy helping others and knowing at the end of the day that I've helped put food on someone's table.
I love the fact that I get to help my community and the fact that I get to work with other people that want to help the community.
It's awesome to be able to give back to the community, especially to the community that I was raised in. And there's been occasions that we would have distributions and I would help somebody that helped me when I was younger. So that's awesome feeling to have, and that's what I love most about being a Gulf Coast.
So this videos really mean so much to me to see, because working at Feeding the Gulf Coast and serving our mission is so much more than a job. It's really a commitment to helping those in the community who just need a hand up. And so we're honored to be able to make a difference every day. This September, though, we're asking you to join with us and to stand with us in our mission against hunger. We know that for so many people, the decision about what's for dinner tonight isn't just between spaghetti or a hamburger, that it's tougher choices that people have to make between putting food on their table for their families, or medicine, or electricity, or childcare. Hunger shouldn't be that impossible choice. So that's what Hunger Action Month, that's what this September is all about. A nationwide campaign each September to help raise awareness of hunger in our communities. We invite you to join with us in our mission against hunger, to take action. There are so many ways that you can do that. You can use your voice on social media or in your network of peers and just really help us bring awareness to what the needs are. Share those food insecurity stats. Be that person that says, you know, did you know that 1 in 6 people in our community may be hungry, that 1 in 4 children, that if you think about a row of children on a school bus with 2 children on each side, that one of those 4 children may not have a dinner to go home to tonight. start the conversation, work with us. Or if you want to get involved, if you have time and you want to use that time to make a difference, volunteer with us at the food bank. Help us sort food. Help us pack backpacks that go home on the weekends to hungry children. Volunteer at one of those distributions for people who are lining up for hours because they need some help. Put the food in their trunk and just make a difference. Or make a donation. For every $1 donated to Feeding the Gulf Coast, we can provide 5 meals for people in need. That's a significant impact. What I always say, and I'll continue to say, is that one person with 1 hour or $1 or one item of food can make a difference. So join with us this Hunger Action Month and be that difference. As I mentioned, September 17th, Hunger Action Day. One of the fun ways that you can be a conversation starter for Hunger Action Month, Hunger Action Day, is take a selfie wearing orange and tag us in it on Feeding the Gulf Coast and share a story about why hunger matters to you, like our staff have done. Why is the mission of hunger important to you? You can see Hungry Kate in this image, and she says, on an empty stomach, I can't. So think about all the ways that food impacts you in your daily life and the way that it supports you that maybe we all take for granted. That if you're a child in school and you have a hungry tummy, maybe you can't learn, you can't focus. Your attention span isn't what it is. You don't have that foundation that you can get if you show up prepared and equipped because you've had a nice breakfast. So just really help us spread the word. Tag at Feeding the Gulf Coast on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and just share your story or share why our mission is important to you. And here's our final video today.
Every day coming to work is an absolute pleasure. We have a really great team here. It doesn't necessarily feel like work all the time. It's a family.
And I'm just really glad to now be feeding children and helping children meet that need towards their education, because they're going to succeed. If they're not hungry, they're going to succeed, they're going to learn, and they're going to succeed.
I'm a strong believer in building strong communities. Our Gulf Coast communities, while so resilient to natural disasters and everything else, we can't be as strong as we want to be when so many people in our community struggle with hunger. And so that's what motivates me to do the work every single day to ensure that our communities have access to nutritious food.
That's just one thing that we can all come together and try to work towards, is, getting people fed.
And everyone here just really loves the mission that we do. That is just contagious to work around.
Also, I like being able to meet up with my regulars that I deliver to, people that I've built up a rapport with, and get to see how they're actually growing. It's nice to see a difference. That would probably be the biggest impact.
So if you have a question that you'd like for a question for Michael or Cindy or for myself, just drop it into the chat box or the Q&A box right now, and we'd love to have this dialogue with you. As I mentioned, if you want to get involved, visit our website, or if you need help, if you know someone who is in need of food assistance, you can visit feedingthegulfcoast.org, and there's a find help section. You can actually enter your zip code, and it will take you right to options that are in your community for the support that you need. You can also call 888-704-FOOD, and we will direct you to those resources. We also have a benefits enrollment center where you can be directed to benefits that maybe you're not aware that you're eligible for. So check that out, possibly SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or some of the other benefits that we could connect you to. Just visit that website, and their number is on the screen also. So we have a question from Rod. He is asking if he can see this later, because he was not able to join us in the beginning. Yes, if you signed up for the table today, you will receive a link in your email where you can watch from the beginning. We're so glad that you joined us today, Rod, and we want you to be able to see the whole thing. So absolutely you can. Again, if you want to get involved, volunteering, donating, just engaging with us in any way, please visit our website, feedingthegulfcoast.org. There are a lot of ways that you can join with us in our mission, and we invite you to do so. So, exciting news. Chef Challenge is our annual event. This year, it was supposed to be in September, but with the COVID surge and just out of an abundance of caution for our staff and our partners and our community, we didn't want to take any chances. So we moved it to April 28th. So that gives everyone a little bit more time to get your tickets and just join with us. We'll start promoting that probably in January. It's a little early now, but we're excited. We weren't able to gather together in 2020, obviously due to COVID, and then again this year. So we're really looking forward to the opportunity to bring our community together for this 22nd annual event. It's just a lot of fun. It's a great night for a great cause. We have live music from Roman Street. The event will be held at the Mobile Convention Center. It's a larger venue than in the past. We're just really hoping to scale up and see a lot more of our partners and community that night. So look for more information about Chef Challenge in the coming months. And at this time, if there are any questions for the chat or the Q&A, I do not see any. We'll give just a second.
We might have one coming in hot off the press.
That's right. Just never know. I don't want to miss anything. So I am told that there is a question of how many counties do we serve in Mississippi? So I'll take that one, unless Michael or Cindy would like to. Happy to. So Michael mentioned that our service area is more than 22,000 square miles. It spans from Panama City, Florida to the Louisiana-Mississippi line. We serve 8 counties in Mississippi, 9 in Alabama, and 7 in Florida. It's quite a lift. Sometimes it amazes me. Every day, actually, it amazes me how this team is able to pull it off. Anytime I've driven, I'm in Alabama, anytime I've driven to New Orleans, you just keep driving and I think, wow, this is still us. This is still the area that we're serving. It's pretty incredible, especially in times of crisis.
Yes, and much of it being rural, that presents even more unique and complex challenges, particularly as we have the coastal counties, and then as you move north, still close enough to the coast to be heavily impacted by a hurricane, but also rural and diverse. So trying to make sure that we're serving all these underserved communities is really something we're working on hard right now to make sure that we're equitably reaching everyone that needs help.
Yes, definitely. So we have one final question and then we'll wrap it up, just being mindful of time. But we have a question that is, how can someone in the community get involved with our disaster relief efforts? It's a great question, especially while we're in the midst of hurricane season, and Michael and Cindy have shared so much about our Ida relief efforts. So as we mentioned, we always need volunteers. You know, volunteers really came in strong for us when we needed those disaster boxes packed, or when we had that distribution in Mobile for those who were displaced from Ida, who were sheltering here in Alabama from either Louisiana or Mississippi. So volunteers are always so important. As I mentioned, those monetary donations, they really sustain the work that we do, and they make the work possible to get food into the hands of those who need it most, especially in times of crisis and disaster. You can also donate to the food bank items. Michael, you're going to say something?
No, yeah, I donate the items, food to us. And, you know, we know there's a lot of folks that are going into Louisiana and taking food and whatever else. Of course, you know, we think, you know, everything helps to lift the boat, and that's great. We know that we have a lot of people here in our backyard that are displaced, and we're working hard to try to make sure they're supported as well. So if you'd like to join us in those efforts, whether that be by working at a mobile pantry distribution, if you know of a place where you happen to know there's a high density of displaced families and individuals, any feedback you have on that, we're always trying to find the best place to put the next 5,000 pounds of food, or work with our agencies to make sure that they're aware of where the displaced people are, and those displaced individuals can reach those agencies. So we're working hard in our own backyard right here in Mobile County, Baldwin County. We know there's still lots of folks that have lost homes or can't get back to their homes. And then, of course, the work we're doing throughout Mississippi is all very important, and we appreciate any support we can get in that regard as well. We thank you for the questions.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you'll tune in to our next episode of The Table. Stay tuned for the date, and we just appreciate the time that you spent learning a little bit more about how our mission works, what our mission is, and how you can get involved and make a difference for those who need us in the community. Thank you.